Frisco 911, what is the location of the emergency?
Hi, we're at Kuykendall Stadium. My friend just got stabbed.
Now, for the first time, we're seeing
Carmelo Anthony walked into a high school track meet in Frisco, Texas in April 2024 and walked out in handcuffs. Within minutes, a 17-year-old boy named Austin Metcalf was dead on the ground with a stab wound to his chest. And here is what you need to understand before we go any further. The question of whether Carmelo Anthony did it was never really the question. The question the jury had to answer was what kind of person brings a knife to a track meet, opens it inside a backpack while a confrontation is still brewing, and drives it into another teenager's chest over a shove.
Carmelo's defense team argued at trial that Carmelo was invited under the tent, that he had a friend of his girlfriend who was on Austin Metcalf's team, and that friend had waved him over. Now, the state argued that Carmelo never should have been under an opposing team's tent and that he refused to leave when he was told to go, and that led to a confrontation and a shove that turned to murder.
That question has now been answered. 35 years. But there is something in this case that was hidden from the public for over a year. No cameras were allowed inside the courtroom. The surveillance footage, the body cam recordings, the 911 calls, the jury saw all of it. The rest of us only heard about it through police documents and court reporters. Now, after the verdict, that evidence has been released, and what it shows is more revealing than most people expected. Not because it proves what happened, but because of what Carmelo Anthony said the moment a police officer walked up to him in handcuffs. The 911 calls came in fast and chaotic. A teenager on the phone, voice cracking, telling the dispatcher his friend had just been stabbed at Kuykendall Stadium, that he was bleeding everywhere, that they had no idea who did it. Coaches were already running toward Austin Metcalf. An Army veteran who was also a coach reached him first and kept his hands on the wound, applying pressure, trying to hold Austin's life inside his body.
Frisco 911, what is the location of the emergency?
Hi, we're at Kuykendall Stadium. My friend just got stabbed.
Okay, do you know who stabbed him?
We have no clue. He was sitting in our tent, but you need to send an ambulance right now.
They're on the way, okay? Give me a description of the person that stabbed him.
He was wearing a gray Essentials hoodie. He was black. He's standing out on the track right now.
He's standing on the track?
Yeah.
Okay.
His blue sweatpants on and John.
Okay, and what did he stab your friend with?
I don't know. My friend's bleeding everywhere.
Okay. Okay. And where was he stabbed at?
The chest.
Okay. And do you still see the person that stabbed him, or did he leave?
It was Austin. Austin got stabbed in the chest. I'm sorry, what did you say?
The person that stabbed him, is he still there? Do you still see him?
A second 911 call captures that coach on the phone while other voices in the background are screaming, urging Austin to hold on, counting compressions.
We have Army veteran that's trying to keep compression on the wound.
Okay. Are you with him now?
He is laying here.
How old is he?
Starting to go unconscious.
How old is he?
High school age, so maybe 15, 16, 17.
Okay. Is he awake?
No, he's going unconscious.
Okay. Is he breathing?
Not right now.
Breathing?
No, he's not.
He's not breathing at all?
The dispatcher asks if he is breathing. The coach says no. Then there is a moment, a terrible, brief moment, where someone thinks Austin might be coming back. The Army veteran knew better.
There was a moment as we go through these 911 calls where coaches thought that Austin started breathing again and that there was this sign of hope that he could survive. But the Army veteran who was tending to Austin, he was also a coach, he testified at trial. He told jurors that he knew that Austin was gone. And I want you to listen just to the background of this call here as coaches are doing chest compressions on Austin Metcalf. Listen to the chaos.
Freaking out, and they were just trying to contain him.
Okay.
Give me a breath, Austin. Give me a breath, Austin. Give me a breath, Austin. You're doing good. I hear you.
Let me know when they're with you, okay? Let me know until they're with you. Let me know if you stop breathing, okay?
I heard that breath.
Okay.
Come on, Austin. Come on, Austin. Come on, baby. Come on, you got this. You got this. Come on.
Okay, we got the suspect, okay? So you guys just focus on him, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Come on, come on. Every once in a while, there's a breath that he's here. Come on, come on, come on.
I'm going to keep you with me, okay, until they're with you. Is he breathing still?
He's trying, yeah. We're doing compressions and giving him mouth to mouth.
Okay.
He testified at trial that he already knew Austin was gone. The medical examiner later confirmed it. The stab wound to the chest was unsurvivable. There was no version of that day where Austin Metcalf went home. Coaches detained Carmelo Anthony on the track until police arrived.
I want you to listen to what Carmelo says and how his tone changes as he perhaps realizes what he just did.
Hold on.
And I'm just protecting myself.
If somebody is shooting the victim, they need to be over there.
North end under a memorial tent.
Don't reach for anything, all right, man? Stop right there for me.
Right there.
Dispatch 443. I got the suspect, and they're currently treating the victim. Again, he's on the north end of the stadium. All right. Any weapons on you like that? I'll look here.
How long? He put his hands up here. I know I'm not.
4-4, copy, I'll be en route.
Help me, y'all back up a little bit. Come over here for me. Come over here.
447, clear.
I'm gonna put your handcuffs for now, okay, bud? Dispatch 443. Everybody can slow down. I got the alleged suspect in handcuffs right now, detained.
Everything. Everyone else can slow down. Suspect's detained and handcuffed.
Hold on.
And this is where the evidence that nobody outside that courtroom had seen until now becomes impossible to look away from. Body cam footage shows the moment an officer approaches Anthony already in handcuffs. The officer refers to him as the alleged suspect. Carmelo Anthony's response is immediate and calm. He says, and these are his words, "No, I'm not alleged. I know how it goes. I did it. Not a breakdown. Not a confession torn out of him by pressure."
Coach who said, well, if he dies, you're going to change your life forever. And it's like there's moments where Carmelo Anthony is so calm to the point where he can say, it's not just I'm not alleged. He says, hey, I know how this goes. I'm not alleged. I did it. But then as he get cuffs, there's like this shot of emotion and you hear him in this like kind of weeping voice. But then like within 15 seconds, he's saying his name very calmly to the police. It was just, again, he's probably in shock with kind of realizing what was happening in that moment. But it was just, it's just, I don't know. What was your reaction when you saw that for the first time and just emotionally how he was in those moments?
Yeah, it was kind of a stark dichotomy, Chris, because, he's been painted out to be by the prosecution, this murderer, right? This kid who had a knife here. He intended to do these things. He went over provoking a fight to use this knife. And so when they play this body cam, and we'd heard about the "I'm not alleged, I did it" thing, but when I heard the crying part, when his voice is shaking and he clearly sounds like he's emotional. When I heard that, I was like, oh, maybe there is, this heavy remorse here. He's made the worst mistake you could possibly make on this green earth. But at the same time, it's like it was a weird like sensation because you've heard all this other stuff, and then it's like, wait, he has a little bit of emotion about it. But to your point again, 15 seconds later, he's like, oh yeah, my name's this. He's spelling his name out. I go to Centennial High School. Everything's fine and whatever. So it was like, of course, people process things differently, right? I mean, you've just stabbed somebody. Unbeknownst to him at the time, he didn't know it was to death, but you just stabbed somebody at 17 years old. So I imagine the mental gymnastics going on with that. But hearing that crying was I don't know if shocking is the right word, but I didn't expect it. And the court, I'm looking around when hearing that, the jury's kind of looking at each other, and because you hadn't heard anything about that, and the fact that he's sitting there, he was kind of emotionless throughout the entire trial, of course, till the verdict came down. But hearing that emotion, but then the prosecution harped on, was it performative in the moment, right? because a few seconds later, you're all, everything's fine, not fine, but everything's mellow, everything's calm given the circumstances. So again, just a stark contrast here when you heard that, and then a few seconds later, I'm not.
A correction. He wanted the officer to get the terminology right. That is the moment this case pivots. Not because it proved he stabbed Austin Metcalf. There was already blood on his hands when officers searched him, and the knife with blood and bone fragments on it was recovered in the bleachers, right where surveillance showed him running after the confrontation.
He put his hands on me. I told him not to. He put his hands on me.
What's happening right now? Victim is over here on the north end. They got staff standing to him right now. This is the alleged suspect. Right. Already? No. We searched them. You got nothing.
I don't know what happened.
423. Trackers everything about CBR progress for a little bit.
Freezing.
Yeah, that's the wrong thing.
Freezing.
Sorry, over here. It's up to you. It's up to you.
That's fine. This is closer.
Let me do one more little check of you, okay?
Yes, sir.
You don't mind for reaching your pockets, anything like that? You good?
You can. You're just wearing one pair of pants? No, ma'am. I'm wearing some little underpants. Well, yeah, but it's not like, no, ma'am, I don't think so. Okay.
All right. What's your name, man?
Carmelo Anthony, Karmelo.
430, show me out.
Okay.
Freezing.
Have a seat here real quick, man. Watch your head. Let me check your hood here, buddy, okay?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll tell you what, lean this way so you're not resting on your hands, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, see a little bit of blood on your hands there, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
402, I'm on scene.
So your first name is Carmelo?
Yes, sir.
Freezing.
Karmelo.
Let's see, hold on one second.
Is he gonna be okay?
I don't know yet, man. Carmelo, C-A-R-A.
K-A-R.
K-A-R.
M-E-L-O.
M-E-L-O, Carmelo. What's your last name?
Anthony.
A-N-T-H.
O-N-Y.
O-N-Y. What grade are you in?
I'm in 12th grade.
10th grade? You go to Emerson?
No, sir.
Where do you go? Centennial. Okay.
I'm in 12th grade.
12th grade?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, Centennial.
What that statement reveals is something the defense spent the entire trial trying to argue against. Premeditation of thought, clarity of mind, a person who understood exactly what he had done and was already narrating it on his own terms.
The alleged suspect.
Okay. I am. No, I'm not. I know how it goes. I'm not alleged. Okay.
That is body cam video of an officer arriving on scene after Carmelo Anthony had already been placed in handcuffs. And in that body cam, you can hear Anthony tell the officer that he is not alleged to have stabbed Austin Metcalf.
Here is the legal detail most coverage skipped entirely. Texas law on self-defense requires that the force used be immediately necessary and proportionate to the threat faced. A shove, even a hard one, does not legally justify a lethal response with a blade. The prosecution argued that Carmelo Anthony had that knife open inside his backpack before the shove ever landed, which is why the stabbing happened in what witnesses described as 2 seconds, so fast that people standing right there did not realize Austin had been stabbed until he lifted his shirt and blood was everywhere.
With Carmelo's parents is that he was like more or less being jumped by a collection of students, 3 to 4 students. The moment in the video doesn't really depict that in any specificity. Of course, again, very pixelated, very, not as quality as we would have liked it to be, but you don't see that at all, because
that one-handed flip mechanism on the knife was demonstrated in front of the jury by an officer who testified that law enforcement carries that same style of blade on duty for cutting seatbelts in emergencies.
The prosecutor and the officer got in front of the jury box, right in front of the jury, feet away. They could reach out and touch them, just showing the knife how you can, thumb stopper, you can flip it up with one hand if you wanted to, because that was another thing about the speed at which this stabbing happened. Some kids said they turned away, they looked back, and now Austin's on the ground with a hole in his chest. It was just so fast. But one thing that I took away from that testimony from this officer is when they were doing the demonstrations, it kind of, if you weren't listening, you might not have caught it, right? The prosecutor asked him, "Oh yeah, is heavy duty knife?" Yes, sir. "This is the kind you kind of carry when you're on duty." "Oh yeah, we use this for cutting seatbelts and things like that." It was just a real quick moment. It wasn't like a real emphasized moment, but I was like, maybe he was asking that to show like, this is a sharp knife. I mean, you know how thick a seatbelt can be when you're cutting people out of car crashes and things like that. And, I'm pretty sure the point was to show like, hey, but, on-duty officers carry knives like this. This might not be the most casual knife. Now, again, clearly you can buy this knife probably in your local Walmart or anything like that. It's not like you have to go on and be, a Marine veteran to get this knife, but
100%.
Just showing that it's not, like, to your point, not some little Boy Scout knife, the little red cylinder with the little flip out and maybe have some scissors and a corkscrew in there.
The point was surgical. This was not a casual pocket knife. This was a tool designed for fast, single-hand deployment.
But to the point I was making just a second ago, the speed at which the stab happened, they were pretty much saying, some of these student witnesses and the prosecution, of course, was compounding upon it, was that, the whole touch me and see what happens. His hand's in the bag for, however many seconds it was in the bag before everything went down. They're trying to say that put his hand on the knife, opened it while it was in the bag. So once whatever he felt was going to happen, the knife was ready to go. right? That wasn't, you know, proven, you know, as a fact. Obviously, you know, the defense was saying, oh, it was just a warning and this and that. But the speed at which people were saying this happened, like in the blink of an eye, they didn't even realize, like even the people who were watching what happened, you know, Austin shoves, whatever happens in 2 seconds, they did not realize Austin was stabbed until he lifted his shirt and blood's everywhere. So that was the whole argument there. Like this knife had to have been opened when it was in the bag. And that was the point of when they were doing the demonstration with the cop, showing, you know, because he's holding the bag with one hand's in the bag, that you could flip it open with one hand, like with ease. You know, you didn't have to take two hands to open it up and then, you know, assume whatever position you're going to assume with it. So that was the whole discussion about that. But
and someone had carried it to a high school track meet. The witness at the center of the defense's theory, a teammate of Austin Metcalf's named Eddie, who the defense claimed had waved Carmelo over to the tent, testified for the prosecution and downplayed any friendship with Anthony. The defense then produced photographs the two of them at Eddie's house, at his grandmother's birthday, playing Guitar Hero together, making faces at the camera. 10 pictures of two kids who, according to one of them under oath, barely knew each other. The jury saw those pictures and still convicted. They had already heard Carmelo Anthony describe what he did in his own words before a single witness took the stand. After the stabbing, Anthony ran up the bleachers, threw the knife, came back down, and eventually walked toward a coach on the track, who put an arm around him. That coach asked him what happened. Anthony said Austin had put his hands on him.
Like, hey, they're saying he stabbed somebody, don't let him leave. That's when that coach kind of like puts his arm around him, not like in an aggressive way, just like, hey, son, come here. What are they saying you've done? What have you done? And that's when, you know, as we were talking before a few weeks ago, how that coach was like, hey, what have you done? Hey, he put his hands on me. I told him not to. Well, you know, if that kid dies, you know, your life changes here forever today. Carmelo's like, oh, he's not going to die. And the coach is like, okay, but like, you know, if he does, and that's when that coach said.
The coach told him directly, if that boy dies, your life changes forever today. Carmelo Anthony's response was that Austin was not going to die. 50 feet away, an Army veteran was doing chest compressions on a kid who was already gone. Carmelo Anthony has filed notice that he intends to appeal his murder conviction. He will make that argument from a prison cell, where he will remain for as long as 35 years.
Man, happy to do it.
Carmelo Anthony has filed a notice that he plans to appeal his murder conviction. That will do it for On the Case.
Austin Metcalf will not get to make any argument at all. What this case should leave you with is not just the verdict. It is the understanding that in a self-defense claim, the law does not ask whether you were touched. It asks whether death was the only reasonable response. 12 jurors watched the same body cam, heard the same confession, and gave the same answer: no.